This episode of Three Black Guys with a Mic is being brought to you by Wendy's. Wendy's has changed the value game all over again. Today, grab yourself a 4 for $4. A juicy junior bacon cheeseburger or crispy chicken BLT, large fry, 4-piece nugget, and a drink. You can always get it fresh, never frozen, at a participating Wendy's. Offer not valid in Alaska and Hawaii. Now let's start the show.
First of all, let me tell you something. Lamont is just full of shit.
Sometimes my mama said, when you don't have nothing nice to say, you should be quiet.
People say that Stephen A. is a coon. You agree with that? Everybody got quiet on that one? Okay.
Are you drinking, man?
I don't know.
Are you drinking?
I don't even understand how you could even put Common and Bob Marley and Marvin Gaye. And even Marvin Gaye.
I'm saying, who's on your iPhone, iPad? Who's in your playlist right now? That ain't saying this.
Maynard, I know you a little bit on the right. And Lamont, I know you got that country club lifestyle. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, welcome. This is Three Black Guys with a Mic. Welcome to another episode of Three Black Guys with a Mic. Spud, Lamont, and Maynard, we're all here today. We are honored to be joined by a legend in the music business, in the music industry, former TV host, program director of BET, legend, now author of the book Blackout, 40 Years in the Music Business. Paul Porter is with us tonight. Mr. Porter, welcome to Three Black Guys with the Mic. How are you, sir?
Good, man. Let's stop that legend stuff, because normally legend means you ain't worked in a while. We use that legend term a little bit too much, but I'm glad I'm here with y'all.
Man, thank you so very much for joining us. And thank you so very much, as a former program director myself, I just appreciate, you writing the book about, the radio industry as well as the music business, because I think a lot of people, have a misconception of what goes on behind the scenes in the music business, the radio business, and how everything works. And unfortunately, in our culture, sometimes, we don't educate ourselves on how the business actually works. And we just, expect for things to, go on. I do want to start off by, you said, Blackout is an inside account of how corporations erase black identity from black radio and mainstream black music. And you're doing, your fight to break that. I want you to break that down on how corporations erase black identity from black radio and black music.
Well, Blackout for me, that title means, if you Google it, it'll say one of them is a temporary loss of consciousness. And I think corporately, it's about money. And I think people of color in the music industry lost their minds too, man. It turned out to be, where we don't run anything and we just listen a lot, and some cats get paid, but overall, we've been killed in the last 20 years in the music business. But, we celebrate Beyonce and Jay-Z. And the book, man, is just my ride, man. My view, I've done a lot of things on different levels I had publishing on the Whispers in 1984. I used to spend weekends at Nina Simone's house when I was little. I got to program BET and get envelopes with $20,000 in it.
Whoa. Uncle Paul, we got to call you. We got to put the uncle name on there. What do you mean?
That's worse than calling him. That's worse than calling him a legend.
Yeah. What?
Yeah. Well, that's okay for Ralph McDaniels. I ain't nobody's uncle except Alex Porter.
You saw that, man? You see that, man?
Yo, Box trained me in video programming. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things that need to be talked about and discussed, and I just let it roll, man. I spent a lot of time at BET, and I saw it change, man. I saw the change, and the change in the culture, man. And music was important to me growing up. I grew up in Jamaica, Queens, and Dad left when I was 7, so I had a turntable, man, to listen to, and that turntable taught me a lot, listening to lyrics and content, and there was some balance in it. And, there's no balance. There's no real stories, man. And it's not to say that Little Yachty's not popping, but if you get a full diet of that and you 14, it's going to hurt you, not help you. And I'm just saying we can do better. We can have more balance.
You talked about, music industry books typically are about glorifying in the celebrity part of the music industry.
Yeah,
And
it's always some rich Kevin Loud,
right.
Steve Stout. It's from a different viewpoint. Look, here's what happened today. I did Joy Reid's show in New York yesterday. They're 22 hours, come back home. I sold a couple of books. I'm real happy. I'm laying around the house putting books in envelope because I self-published this book, so I'm hustling on all ends. And I hear a knock on the door. It's Florida City Gas. They're about to cut me off. They need $78. So you ain't going to hear those type stories in
Right.
books like that.
Right.
But 9 out of 10 people in the industry are hurting.
Because you talked about, you being homeless, stealing from 7-Eleven. I mean, how did you go from, programming BET into 66 million households, to being homeless and stealing from 7-Eleven? And that's what I appreciate about your story is because you're right. There isn't the other side. And then sometimes even though, those celebrities that you talk about, that when they glorify the music industry, they do it in a way that makes people believe that it's not realistic. It's kind of like, oh, yeah, I grew up without a father.
Yeah, but
it's,
that's why, look, the game about the industry is getting in the game now.
Mm-hmm.
More people burn more money trying to be down and going on shoestring budgets. Somebody tells me, I got a site too, raprehab.com. It's been up about 6-7 years, and it deals with their artist stuff, politics and culture. But I talk to a lot of artists around the country, and they think for $5,000 they go break a record.
Right.
And I'm like, yo, man, you can break a record maybe in Iran, but it ain't happening here.
Did he say Iran? Did you say Iran?
Yeah. Yo, you got to follow what's happening overseas, man. Overseas might tighten up some pockets for y'all.
Paul, if you can, because you talked about the budget for $5,000, and Lamont, you can expand on this as well. Can you tell the audience what is an indie and what does an indie do?
Now, when you say indie, what you break
an
that down a little
independent
further,
record promoter? You know what indie is. You can expand on that. What an indie is.
Go ahead, Paul. You take it, and then I'll back you up.
Well, I mean, there's all different levels of indie. Indie mostly means everybody else who wants to be down with a major, who tries to act like they want to do it independently, and they're putting sums from zero money into it, and Inc. and LLC and got flyers and cards, to real folks that have budgets and trying to break records, maybe spending $50,000 to $100,000. Indies are all different shapes and sizes. A couple of years ago, I had a record with my cousin in Pitbull, The Water Dance.
Mm-hmm.
And we spent about $100,000 on that record. And, we probably sold 60,000 singles, got some pop play in New York and AMP and Tampa, some other markets. But, to me, that's like the extreme side of being an indie. There's all different levels. And Lamont knows, because Lamont gets that paper, he be bleeding people. But Lamont's wife, Lamont's wife makes sure he's coming home with the paper, or he ain't coming home.
Yeah, he got that right. But you know what? But I'll just add on to it is that, I think that, like Paul said, it comes in all shapes and sizes. And I think, from now where we are, from a internet perspective, a social media perspective, it's more than just radio. So you have indies that handle just all your socials, that handle, trying to make sure that you get certain blog placements and things of that nature, where maybe 5 or 10 years ago, when you used the indie word, it was just about radio. But I think now the way that, these artists have to be exposed to the marketplace, you have to kind of put all of that stuff, together, because people will call me and say, yo, can you handle my socials? And I'm like, that's not kind of what I do, but we do have somebody to kind of help you with that. So again, I just wanted to take what Paul said and just kind of expand it a little bit, but I kind of wanted to go back a little bit and kind of ask Paul this question of back in the BET days, do you think that with the selling of Black entertainment television to Viacom, that shifted the entire music business, or I should say the entire urban music business?
I think
And
Stephen Hill shifted it. You know, I talk about Stephen Hill. Look, he came from Viacom. He came from MTV. He came from my station, ILD. And Stephen think I don't like him. You know, I love the brother, but I know who he is. He got no ears. He's soft. He's short, and he acts like a little bitch. You know, but that's okay.
Wow.
So, like, when he came to the station, I'll never forget it, you know. He was like, I said, what's your favorite record, man? And I knew Steven before, and he was in love with Destiny's Child in 1999. And that's just a weird record for a grown-ass man that knows all types of shit to be, like, into Destiny's Child. So that's sort of, you know, he went to Brown, so he was just sort of like a crossover brother. So it was easy for the industry to manipulate him because he was real, you know, like he wanted power and fame. That's why up until when Stephen Hill almost got fired, like when Prince died, he hosted the special. And New Edition special, he writes himself into the script. So when you're dealing with that Napoleon ego, it don't turn out good for black culture. And he pulled it down along with Viacom by letting him lead. And I blame Deborah Lee for it because she's another softie. And I don't have any problem talking about it. And it's not from a bitter point of view. It's just like, look what did he do? What was so big? 106 in Park? You know, the network died in your hands, bro.
Yeah, and it's funny that you say that, Paul, because you know it's funny that you say that because we've talked about that on this show, and we've talked about BET, you know, a couple of times, you know, on this podcast, and you know we're always amazed that BET doesn't have a variety of content that's on the television. I mean, and it's amazing that they're not even speaking to African Americans, in my opinion. Like, there's nothing on BET that just, you know, services the culture of African Americans, and you kind of just broke it down, you know, on the reason why.
Yeah, but I mean it's real, and I don't mind saying it. What's he gonna do? Beat me up? You know, I talk about, you know, people from an honest point of view and how they hurt. I don't blame everything on the white man. I don't blame everything on corporate America. Their job is to make money. But my job and my hood for my people is to stand up and to resist, man. We don't have enough resistors. We got a whole lot of sheep, a whole lot of followers, and that's why who the leader is important. And when you got a leader like Stephen Hill, you know, he was there 18 years, didn't promote anybody. People had the same positions for 10 years, same check. You know, I'm not that type dude, man. You got to share the wealth on some level.
So, Paul, let me ask you a question, because the book deals with something that I think all four of us have some knowledge of what this is, which is payola, whether it was legal or illegal or anywhere in between.
Well,
and
go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't want to cut you off.
I mean, payola is legal if you say it's payola. Like, payola is like a contest on the radio where they're giving away a car or a trip, and they say sponsored by Jive Records, you know, or yeah, this trip is courtesy of blah. You could say that after every record if you wanted to, but nobody's gonna say that. They'll say it for contest, and I'm all for cats getting paid. Just get paid for playing good music. There was a time where everybody got paid, but now people just play anything because they want to get paid for everything. And that's why it's so bad. But that's also why those kids on the street are crazy. You know, when I hear, like, my boy's Jay Dixon, man, who's at Hot 97, consults a lot of stations. And I had an issue with him when that I'm in Love with the Coco record came out. And I'm like, come on, man. These guys, lyrically, we went from lyricists to the lyrically challenged. If you got to write a record about cooking up rocks of crack, and I'm in love with the cocoa, like, come on, man. do something better. If I was A&R, I'm like, yo, man, change that hook. But nah, you know, Jay, my boy, he's like, man, I love this record. Come on, man. That's because you live in Jersey now, not in Jamaica, Queens, where I'm from.
So do we? So in respect to that, as a listener, are we in love with records, or do radio stations make us love them because they got
make
paid?
you love them? If you play a record 120 times in a week, god damn, that's brainwashing. It's just like, you know, commercials. When you see a heavy array of movie commercials, you pumped to go see that movie. It's the same thing when you hear a record every 60, 70 minutes. Eventually, something in it, you know, like that Broccoli record, the Dram record. Yo, that joint is an infectious nursery school hook. Just like Kyle, I Spy is a better version of Broccoli, you know, and they're both nursery rhymes where, you know, there's some average lyrics, but they got great hooks and great beats.
But Paul, as a
record,
you know, as a program director,
right?
you know, and what radio stations, the corporate side of it, you know, teaches you, of course, that, you know, one, a song that's new is going to start out whatever, you know, in a new category, move up to a medium, and then move up to a power, and that power rotation is going to get you, you know, 60 to 80, you know, spins a week, and that's based off of their philosophy, or the corporation's philosophy of
research.
Exactly. That I've done research, and that every time that I turn on the radio, I mean, you know, I want for the fan or the listener to be hearing their favorite song. That's the corporate radio philosophy.
Yeah, all right. Talk to anybody on the street that listens to radio, and what do they complain about?
I hear the same song over and over again.
Songs all the time. So you losing half of the audience to gather a third of the audience. Look, I got my own radio station. It took me a while at the Low Power FM in Orlando. I'm doing what I want, playing what I want. My average time listening on the online side is 55 minutes. You can't tell me a hip hop and R&B station, and I can play Kyle, and I can play Rhapsody and Goals, or I could play Show Baraka, or some conscious records that are dope tracks and Talib Kweli, along with some of this Bad and Bushy. So you can't tell me there's not room for more records, because I'm doing it, you know. But this old stereotype from Master that you got to do this, but that's because brothers dance it. You think what's my man from? See, that's how unleader Doc Winter is. Yo, Doc Winter's been in there for 20 years. He's not even a vice president at his company. What is that? And he's a decision maker. Come on, man. Some cats be dancing in them jobs. And it's okay. Just say you dance. I play Sister Sledge when I think of brothers who are dancing. Remember, she's the greatest dancer? Because Negroes be dancing in some of them seats, and at the labels, too, because they got a Tesla and something else. So then it's like, okay, let's make it happen.
So Paul, let me ask you this question. So how do we fix, because what you talked about, which I agree, and I really feel bad, because one day I was driving my car, it wasn't a Tesla, and I started humming this song, and I didn't really know what I was humming until I realized it was Kodak Black, and I felt so bad. I felt bad. Was like, because I went on his YouTube page, and I think I saw like 48 million views. I was like, oh my God, that's the song. And I was like, how did it get me? Which we know how it got me. You know what I'm saying? We know how I'm in love with the Coco got me. But my question is how do we fix it? How do we change? You know, me and Maynard and Spud, we talk about this all the time. How do I go back to 1987 or 88 when I was in college?
Well,
and I was
start talking about it.
Okay.
You know, seriously. Look, man, this book, I know I got a damn good book, man. Everybody, I've been promoting this book and talking to people about this book and sending the book to key players, normal people, for about a month now. Every response I get is super. Yo, yesterday, Terry McMillan, man, she hit me up after the television show on Twitter, and like, yo, this is development. This is television stuff. Lawyers been calling me, but normal people get the book, man, and they know this is life. And until people start talking about the issues, nothing's going to change. Because we don't even talk about it anymore. We just accept everything that goes bad. When have you heard of music people, people in the industry getting together to battle anything or to
Right.
represent anything? Only thing they do is go to funerals. And that's
And
because, yeah.
yeah, and I
It's a
think that,
shame,
to
though.
to add to Lamont's point, and Paul, you can, add to this. I think you're already doing it with building a radio station that's for the community, which is the backbone of urban radio, right? Urban radio started as the backbone of the community. And I think that, when when you
Yeah,
have stations
but I
like
don't
that, then
own
it
anything
gives,
else. Yeah, I know, but iHeart's not gonna be like me.
no,
Until some people stand up and fight for their stations, man, it's a hard road. But get the book at blackoutthebook.com. But I try to give some solutions in there, man, and owning things and branding yourself now. Because hey, look, I was on Joy Reid's show. She gets 1.5 million to 2 million people, and I did that show. It might have been a 5-minute piece, but all the people that reached out and all the sales that came from that, like, opened up new doors. I heard from 15 interview requests, and I'll probably get 20 more tomorrow. But people, when you talk about it, they want to hear it. But the problem is nobody is talking about it. You think Gail Mitchell's calling me from Billboard or Lee Bailey from EUR Web? Kevin Ross wanted to charge me $300 for a banner ad, and I've done tons of stories and podcasts for him. He should have hooked the brother up for free and sent it out. But that's, I get resistance because I'm talking truth, and I know who the dancers are. I already bought like 20 Sister Sledge 12 inches, and I'm sending it to him. She's the greatest dancer.
Lamont, would you go ahead and make sure you get him your address, Lamont?
Listen. I told you Paul Porter was raw, and that's what we got.
That's raw. Hey, yo, Paul, one more time, man. Can you give us a little bit? Give us about the Rap Rehab site and the Blackout the book site.
Yeah, man. RapRehab.com is a site I started about 6-7 years ago, and we deal with different stories: brain food, news, do it yourself, and all my writers and all the stories are different, edgy. Like, we had a story the last story that Gail Mitchell took at Billboard when no one black made the charts in Billboard magazine that year. Or our biggest story of all time that did like 8 million people was how to destroy a black man in 10 easy steps. And it was basically the Chief Keef record deal type
Oh
syndrome.
my God! Thank God for that.
You give a gangbanger $500,000 in a record deal, and he's 19. Well, you know what's going to happen in 2 years, and it always happens. So that formula, and anyway, so Rap Rehab started. I started talking to artists and started spending a lot of time. I went in the process of buying this LPFM in Orlando, The Wire 98.5. And I had a book deal 9 years ago with HarperCollins. It was called The Same Songs, PAOLA, Power, and Corruption in the Music Industry. And it was more detailed, but HarperCollins was scared to put it out to get sued. So they said, keep the money, sit on it. And I sat on it, and I decided to do a book that's a little more broad because times would change it. And my book goes from Nina Simone to, Drake in January. So it's current. It's a tool that I think parents should get so they could have an educated conversation about the music and why it happens. And they listen, because parents don't understand what their kids listening to. They're going to see Felix Hernandez in New York and oldies but goodies and dancing El Coco and Let's Get Together or something. But, I just think it's important that we start opening up these discussions and controlling what we absorb. And I don't think people take enough time and think about what we're doing to the kids and taking advantage. Because if we balance their diet out, they're going to be more balanced. You know, it counts at what people hear and what people do.
Yeah, I'm
And where
glad
can
you
they
put
get
that
the
in,
book?
I'm glad you put that in perspective in regards to, the balance, because that's important. I mean, and I think that, it's a very articulate way to put it, especially for parents, because, sometimes they're not even paying attention to some of the things because their kids are listening to the music that they're listening to. And so it's just,
Yeah.
brain food every single day. Paul, tell everybody where they could get the book again, man. We truly appreciate you coming on.
It's blackoutthebook.com. Blackoutthebook.com. There's a Facebook group, Blackout the Book, the hashtag Blackout the Book. The name of the book, and you can get it on Amazon and everything else. But I learned that the book game is worse than the record game because Amazon only pays off is 15% of your royalty. If my book's $16.99, I get 15%, and they only pay you quarterly. So that's why I sell books on my site,
Whoa.
and I get paid right away. So
And the
I'll
money
make
is yours.
60%. Yeah, and I'll make triple the money, quadruple the money that they pay. So that's another battle I'll fight later. But three guys, this has been fun, man.
Thank you so
Say
very
it loud,
much,
I'm
Paul,
like,
man.
I'm
Thank you,
proud.
Paul. Thank
We
you.
truly appreciate it, man. Thank you so very much, man. Take care, my brother.
All right, thank you, sir.
All right.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Paul.
Well, fellas, it is the summertime. The weather is getting nice outside, and you know what that means. Time to grill, time to get on the boat, time to hang out on the patio, time to kick it. And what goes great with all of those things? Cigars. So, what you need to do is head over to our friends at exquisitereserve.com, pick up yourself a box. Order a box today in time for Father's Day. So that way you can smoke good on Father's Day. You can sit back on the back porch, watch the sun go down with whatever you're drinking on and a nice Exquisite Reserve cigar. If you like to, do yard work, or if you just want to barbecue, or if you feel like it's important to get in your boat, or just put the top down and take a nice Sunday drive in your car, nothing goes better than a cigar. And who do we recommend? Our friends at Exquisite Reserve. So head over to exquisitereserve.com, grab yourself a box, tell them your friends from Three Black Guys with a Mic sent you, and get the hookup on a box of cigars today. Exquisite Reserve, more than just cigars. It's a lifestyle.